Hello, my name is Tasha and I'm part of the PEPELT team, and as Sandy already said, we'll be sharing some short videos throughout the month. Our book of the month is Imaginary Fred. I'm based in primary teacher education in the Netherlands, so my videos will be about picture books in teacher ed. So last week I was able to join a group of first year students and I gave a session on books related, picture books related to the theme of friendship and English language teaching, and I also included Imaginary Fred. So in today's short video I will give you a little bit, or I'll tell you a little bit of what we did in the session and what students, what their feedback was and what their comments were, and also I'll give you a few ideas what I would do if I were working with second or third year students who've had some exposure to teaching English at primary school level. These first year students have only just joined. They've been at our academy for about 2 or 3 months. They are based in primary schools, but some of them will have had perhaps very little exposure to teaching English. In any case, we started off with the cover. This leads on a little bit from Sandy's video. I like to work with the cover. I like to take my time so that students really start to think a little bit, and also they become a little bit more aware of what they're seeing. I find in the days of Facebook where it's all scroll, and really quickly, it's important to take a little bit of time for that. I try to keep my sessions practical, but I also don't want to be a takeaway service that whatever I print out is what they just take straight into the classroom. I do want some kind of critical thinking involved and also just a little bit of imagination. So we worked with the cover. I didn't give them the title. That was really interesting. So we got some really good suggestions, and they liked that. They thought, oh, I can do this in the classroom as well quite quickly. We had alternative titles such as The Blue Boy, The Two Friends. They weren't sure if they were twins, so that was quite an interesting thought. When I gave them the title, they said, Fred, yes, it's so close to friend. And of course, there is Frida in the book as well, who's also an imaginary friend. So we were talking about the choice of names, what that could signify. We then thought about how can we relate this to the child before starting to read. They all felt that the topic imaginary friend and the illustrations was perhaps something for older children. That was really quite amazing. They hadn't seen the book or read any of the book. They felt that they didn't want to talk about imaginary friends. They thought that children might not feel safe and would be perhaps embarrassed. But what they did think would be nice is to start with discussing special talents, or talents that we would like to have, superhero talents nearly, and draw them and then guess, and perhaps work with how to guess in English, so a bit of language work in there. That was quite nice. We then moved on to looking at the first page, not the first page, but the first page with text. So this one, which is an introduction to the story, and they were quite surprised with how much text there was. And it confirmed their feeling that it was for higher level primary students. That was really nice. When it came to the second page, again, I wanted them to really look, to see, what did they see. So I gave them this here. I gave, these are laminated A3 page. I have blanked out the text and I gave them dry board pens, and they started to write and think about what text is missing and really look at the images. And it helped them also to see what kind of vocabulary they'd like to work with the children, which vocabulary areas or groups. We then worked our way a little bit through the book. It was a short session, so they were quite surprised about how difficult it was for them to understand if imaginary Fred was visible or not. So they couldn't decide on that. So we skipped through the book a bit, but until the end, when really you get to this page, and it says it's a quartet is performing, and then you have I guess it's a school concert, so 2 teachers standing on the side saying, why are there only 2 of them? And that's when the student teachers were like, oh wow, the suspense throughout the book, and just thinking, is he real, is he not real, is he real, just can only Sam see him, only the boy can see him. When it came to thinking how to finish the book, we looked at the final page. And that's really nice because it says eventually they concluded that friendship is friendship, And we thought it would be perhaps nice again to blank it out. Friendship is ... And then students or children could then perhaps give their ideas. And we could also discuss emotions, how friendship makes you feel. So that was our little session with my first year students. Very quickly, what I would do with higher level students. So what I would have liked to have done, or what I would do, is there was a great interview with the author, and he mentioned a few aspects, such as he felt that when he'd written the story, it didn't work, the illustrations were missing. So I'd like to look at that statement. What would the book be without illustrations? And I always advise student teachers to look at the websites of the illustrators and authors to see if there are any resources. And for this book, there is a worksheet which is draw your imaginary friend, and then also let's get writing. So this is really quite nice. It's where you can list of favorite activities that you would do with your imaginary friend. So that's really quite nice. The way these activities have been designed really also the child doesn't have to admit that they have an imaginary friend. So it's everybody's just, what would that be if I had one? So I think that is really quite nice. Now, I always like to see what children think about these activities before I recommend them. So this time round, I asked my daughters to complete them. They go to a Dutch primary school. Now, they're not language learners, but they're children. They're 9 and 7. And they really, really enjoyed the drawing task. This is what they did. They gave them names. They also indicated how old their imaginary friend would be. Here, that's the other one. The other one. My older daughter, her imaginary friend, Violet, is older than she is, and that's quite interesting. And she had a bit of a superhero, I think it's a Teen Titans thing that was going through her head at that point as well. So and she wanted somebody who's older because she's the older sister, so she felt that was important for her. Whereas my younger daughter just wanted somebody as cuddly and as cute as she is, and she said that her imaginary friend was called Happy, because that's what an imaginary friend should make you feel. So I thought that was really quite nice, because that also confirmed that you can link it to emotions and how an imaginary friend would make you feel, but also what friendship means. So finally, again, in a higher level, I would have looked at sequencing. This book offers a lot of sequencing, one day, then one day, eventually. So there's a lot of in there to work with to telling a story and the use of sequencing. That is it from me, and I will see you soon. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope the ideas might come in useful if you're working in teacher ed. Bye.